Let's get a police perspective on what we learned today from the Nova Scotia RCMP. And joining us now is a former Deputy Commissioner, Pierre-Yves Bourduas. Pierre-Yves, what was your reaction when you heard that detailed description of what happened in Port-au-Pic?
I was horrified, having experienced patrolling rural New Brunswick for a number of years. I just can picture the initial reaction of the first responders faced with such traumatic events, houses burning, bodies laying around. It must have been total mayhem and chaos. And the RCMP, the initial response appeared to be appropriate. They pulled in all the resources they could, and within a few hours they had over 25 MARC units to contain the area.
There's been a debate this week, particularly in Nova Scotia PY. Some people frustrated about what they feel is a lack of information from the RCMP before today. Others who say, look, leave the police force alone. They're dealing with their own grief. They'll talk to us, when they're ready. As a former deputy commissioner, what's your view on the way information has been made public or not made public this week?
Well, I empathize with the general public because I wanted to hear more during the initial press conferences that I've heard. And however, the problem for the senior management within the RCMP is to strike the right balance between providing enough information to the general public and yet protecting some information because of the ongoing investigations that are unfolding as this investigation is involving. So that's the reason why they were guarded in their comments. But today certainly provided the general public anyway with a lot more information as to the exact chain of event of actually the what transpired on Saturday evening and Sunday morning.
Over the years, I think about the RCMP murders in Mayerthorpe, Alberta. You were working at that time, the murders in Moncton. What kind of impact does this kind of thing, what kind of impact do you think the Nova Scotia shooting will have on the RCMP?
Huge, Ian, and I'll be very candid with you. It's shocking. It's nothing that you can not actually prepare for. But yet every tragedy, such as Mayerthorpe Moncton or this last tragedy, forces the organization that is the RCMP to reflect back and look at their training, look at their equipment, and just ensure that the policing world within the RCMP is better prepared to face such types of tragedy. So there's a lot of work ahead for the RCMP.
Think back to your days on patrol in rural New Brunswick. How do you think individual members are feeling now and are going to feel, particularly in Nova Scotia, when they're out there on the road?
Well, if they're out there on the road, of course, it's interesting because unionization is coming for the RCMP. So it might change the dynamic here with regards to patrol officers out there in the rural area. Should they be paired up and, under which types of circumstances? So I would imagine that the unionization will surface some of these questions in relation to officer safety out there, especially in rural areas.
Always nice to get your perspective, PY. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Ian.